Hey, hey, hee, hee, I make poo-poos and pee-pees. Hey, hey, hee, hee, I make poo-poos and pee-pees. One comes out the front, one comes out the back. For both we wipe and flush, but for one we will wipe a little more. Hey, 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 hee, hee, I make poo-poos and pee-pees. Hey, hey, hee, hee, I make poo-poos and pee-pees. Pee-pee.
This video is brought to you by Devolver Digital, who are now holding their Spring Steam sale until March 20th. Survive one of the most beloved bullet hell roguelikes in history with Enter the Gungeon, which is marked down to a criminal 90% off. Reacquaint yourself with the nautical antics of Guybrush Threepwood in Return to Monkey Island. Pirate games, they're great. What if your bullet could hit a dude, stop in midair, turn, and then hit another dude? That's Children of the Sun, one of the best indies of last year. Film and produced 1999's hottest reality TV show this side of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in The Crush House. Add a little kick to your soup and salads with a pepper grinder. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean live the life of a dirt dolphin in 2024's excellent adventure platformer, Pepper Grinder. And find inner peace with 9 of your friends in Karma Zoo, the delightful 10-player co-op platformer. Don't have that many friends? Don't worry. Neither do we. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Devolver Digital's Steam page and dig into those sales like the good little dirt dolphins you are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Windbreakers podcast. I'm Yahtzee Croshaw, as always. Marty joins me, although the thumbnail says he's J-Mate and Ludo for some reason.
Damn.
J-Mate isn't here because J-Mate's at GDC.
Chitika.
And replacing him for this week is Mr. Poo-Poo Pee-Pee himself, Jack Packard.
You're welcome, everyone who we scarred the psyche of for that intro. I did not know that was happening. Eric surprised me with that.
For a solid 30 seconds, I didn't know it was you. I just thought that was a weird man on our monitors.
Yeah,
I mean, both can be true, Marty.
Yes, as I said at the time, he looked like a Half-Life scientist.
Yeah.
Gosh, remember that time before the internet when you could put out something embarrassing and eventually everyone would just forget?
Oh, right.
I miss those days. But this week on the Windbreakers podcast, we are talking about one-hit wonders and do such things exist in the world of games. Jack, you suggested this topic because I believe there's one specific example you've been thinking about.
Correct. I guess let's start with the hit, and then we will work our way to the current thing that makes me think that this creator is a one-hit wonder. Let's go back to like the joyous time that was 2013, if you will. Can you all remember
his presidency? Oh yes, I remember.
I do. I had a fresh Wii U in my living room.
Yes.
And we are talking about the smash, both critical success and breakout financial hit of the Stanley Parable. A game that is well lauded amongst the critical gaming community. A game that broke boundaries. It was a game that really like turned the narrative in on itself to shine a light on the fact that there really is no choice in video games because everything that you can do has been accounted for. It was lovely. It was a lovely video game.
Mm-hmm. I myself once described it as gaming's answer to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
A apt and beautiful analogy, as
I
always.
thought so. That's why I keep bringing it up.
But the developer, who's Casey?
Davey Redden.
Davey Redden.
Davey Redden, yeah.
Davey Redden very well might have Shyamalan'd himself because if, like when you start with such a an artistically appreciated product, where do you go from there? He followed it up with a real artsy-fartsy game called The Beginner's Guide, which was a very unique way to tell a story through what were supposedly demos of games that his friend made.
Mm-hmm. And I liked The Beginner's Guide quite a lot. Right. I mean, I stressed that I wouldn't call it a game. It's very much a sort of art project, a sort of living museum sort of arrangement.
I'm gonna hurt my neck from just shaking my head silently so much this episode.
It's what it is it was a very unique way to tell a story. Is what I'll agree. I don't think it's much of an interactive experience, but it's short. It's a really interesting way to tell this story that he wanted to tell. Much of it was kind of like his own personal feelings about the meteoric rise of the Stanley Parable, which is very, very interesting. But not a hit. The Beginner's Guide, definitely not a hit. No. And now his third game, Wonder Stop, is a cozy... you kind of want to call it a farm sim, but it's not a farm. It's a cozy life sim in which you are helping run a tea shop, a fantasy tea shop. And friends, I'm only 2 or 3 hours in, but it is so dang boring. It is bad. I do not enjoy it. I am not having a good time with it. And I keep, much like the Stanley Parable or the Beginner's Guide, I keep waiting for the hook. I keep waiting for the Stanley Parable-ness of it all. And so that's why he has Shyamalan'd himself into a bit of a corner. I can't enjoy this cozy tea shop game.
Well, I haven't played Wonder Stop myself, but when you described it as a tea shop running simulator, you might have noticed me say, "Oh," in a slightly disappointed voice, because that feels more like following a trend than setting them. There's a lot of indie cozy shop management things in the world.
This one is very different because I would say that the strongest aspects of this game, and I have not finished it. I'm further than you, Jack, and I'm enjoying it for the most part. Is the story he brings to it, the characters and the writing, which I think are extremely strong in what you would expect from the writer of those two aforementioned games. Before we get too much in this, I think some people might be a little confused by what we mean by one hit wonder. Obviously, this is a term that is mostly applied to music. Your Chumbawambas and whatnot, your thumb thumpers, can be applied to movies. Like, it doesn't mean you've only made one thing. It just means like nothing really ever recaptured that magic. Richard Kelly made Donnie Darko, and then nothing else since has really recaptured that.
What we're talking about here is people who've really set the world ablaze with their first artistic output, but have struggled to keep up the momentum, as it were. They just can't seem to recapture that magic.
Right, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be their first. This is mostly applied to songs. It's mostly seen in the music world, and famously, Semisonic's Closing Time was supposed to be on their final album because they were kind of done in the mid-level circuit, and they wanted to write a song just to be like, we're done, we're kind of done here, and that turned into be their one big hit. They were relatively successful, the bands, the songwriters, after that. I want to say even one of them writes songs for Adele or something. But yeah, what we were talking about is one hit, one thing, one game. Everyone knows the Stanley Parable. When we mentioned the Beginner's Guide, how many of you said what?
Sure. Yeah. It feels like you made something so kind of good or important or monolithic that you can't for the rest of your career escape its shadow. And so you're either kind of retreading familiar ground, or you might be constantly going back to that original well, or you have this sort of paralysis over what comes next. And we see that a lot in the indie space. We see, so on our thumbnail, we have two games. We have Stardew Valley and we have Fez. And Fez, if anyone was playing indie games 15 years ago or whatever, Fez famously, Phil Fish, the developer, kind of had was online before it was cool to be online, and had a very online public meltdown. And after Fez 2 was announced, was like, we're not doing Fez anymore. There's no more Fez. I am gone. Goodbye.
He claimed it was because he was sick of the haters, but that smacked to me of someone who was kind of sick of trying to think about following up his big hit and wanted an excuse to just sort of drop it and run.
Sure, yeah. And then, on the flip side, you have Stardew Valley with Concerned Ape, which is literally one of the most successful games ever. And he has announced the second project, Haunted Chocolatier, but also, which we see in a lot of these one-hit wonders, especially in the game space, even in the Stanley Parable, is going back and doing new versions or updates. Like Stardew Valley is a much different game now than it was at release. The Stanley Parable recently got that sort of ultra deluxe version with new content and put on consoles and everything. So sort of continuing to go back to the well.
I feel iffy about Stardew Valley's follow-up. Because what you could say about Stardew Valley, Jack, is that it's very high concept. Whereas Haunted Chocolatier, not so much. I mean,
how dare you bring our private conversations into the podcast?
Wait, you don't think Haunted Chocolatier is high concept?
Well, not really. Because Stardew Valley's high concept. Stardew Valley is, hey, Harvest Moon was good, let's just make that again.
Right.
And Haunted Chocolatier, what is that? You are someone who makes chocolates, but also runs a farm or a chocolate shop, and there's ghosts.
Yeah. And as we all know, the definition of something that is high concept is something that is very easily explained within a sentence. Right. We all know that that's
elevator
the definition.
We all knew that.
Jack and I, as part of our team casual chat last week, Jack mentioned high concept in what sounded like completely the wrong context, and I took great pleasure in correcting him on that.
As you do, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair assumption to make that high concept would mean like hoity-toity because the word's high's in there,
right? A concept that is elevated above normal concepts is how I took the definition of high concept to mean.
Yes.
Yahtzee takes great joy in correcting. Really, I was just providing a service to Yahtzee of giving him someone to correct. So
and I appreciated it very much.
I'm just happy it wasn't me for once. Usually it's me, so I'm just glad someone else took that bullet.
I see, by the way, in the chat, someone saying, I'm the developer of Trombone Champ, and this is making me sweat, LOL. And if you guys haven't played Trombone Champ, get on it. It is a stupid amount of fun.
But that's another great example of a thing that is so big, and now people are going to be like, what's the next thing from the developer of Trombone Champ? What's going to be the next game from the developer of Cuphead, from the developer of Undertale? And it's like, when you've made something so big, and Undertale, obviously we know he's been working on Deltarune, but when you've made something so big, it feels like there is a creative paralysis afterwards to what do I do next? What are people expecting?
I mean, it's pretty clear to me that Deltarune just feels like more sort of expanding the Undertale thing rather than doing anything new. I mean, the fact that it's an anagram of Undertale and features all the same characters as Undertale.
Oh my God. I didn't pick up on that until literally right now.
Oh my
God. It was an anagram of Undertale.
You didn't realize?
No, I just thought it was about Delta
Even
Runes.
I realized that.
Oh my God.
No.
Dick Black is the dumbest one in the pod again.
Wow.
Fuck.
No, but and there are several, and of course, obviously it takes a lot of people to make a video game, and so, but we are focusing on here kind of either solo development projects or development projects with a major figurehead, with a focal point to it.
It's hard to say that a developer is one-hit wonder because a developer might have a completely different team from game to game.
Exactly. Yeah. But there are several developers within the indie space that keep branching out and trying new things. Your Terry Kavanaghs, your Bennett Foddy's, making weirdo, expressionist, artistic games. One of the things that I thought of when thinking about one-hit wonders was the jump from Frog Fractions to oh Lord, what was the second game?
Glittermitten Grove.
Glittermitten Grove. Thank you. And Frog Fractions is this beautifully subversive game, which I think you can still play for free online. Play it if you haven't. But they tried to follow that up with a similarly subversive game, but we already knew the joke. We knew the joke going in, and so it didn't quite hit as hard.
Yeah, now we're all looking for the subversive part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, a creator in a game we bring up a lot on this is Lucas Pope, and that might be an example of the most. So Papers, Please comes out, and
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
like, yeah, and it's a award, indie award winner, and it's kind of like, well, how do you follow this up? And then he made Obra Dinn, which has some similar themes or ideas, at least taking like a very mundane job and putting it in a very interesting scenario.
Yeah.
And so it feels like he has those two. And then we've been waiting afterwards. And there's been small like itch.io games, and he's done a couple crankers and whatnot. So,
well, of course, Papers, Please wasn't his first game. He was working on a couple of things before then. And Lucas Paper always strikes me as someone who's in it for the love of creation, you know?
Yeah. The millions of dollars helps.
The medium.
You're allowed to. It's easier to be in it for the love of the creation when you have the millions of dollars.
But while Obra Dinn does have some similar themes to Papers, Please, I would not call that trying to sort of sustain the hype of Papers, Please. That felt like the new thing he wanted to make.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And it's interesting. It feels like there's a lot of developers, we're kind of in this holding pattern of like, what is the next thing going to be? And I've mentioned some of them, like what is MDHR going to do following Cuphead? How do you follow up Cuphead? And again, that was a thing that they reiterated upon. They released DLC and ported it everywhere. Shovel Knight. Like how does Yacht Club follow up Shovel Knight? There's going to be that Mina the Hollower game, which is like a smaller team within Yacht Club doing kind of like their take on like a Game Boy Zelda. But like, what is the proper follow up going to be? And then we even have newer ones like Billy teased it at the end of our doc, Animal Well doc. How do you follow up Animal Well? How do you follow up Balatro? How do you follow up Tunic? It's hard. It's almost hard to imagine that a second game could reach the critical and commercial successes of a lot of those first ones.
No, in many ways, the one-hit wonder is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? It's the pressure created from the success of a really big hit that causes the burnout to set in before the second game.
And a lot of that pressure, by the way, I'm going to say guiltily is justified. As I talked about with Wonderstop, part of me going into Wonderstop, a game by Davey, I am looking for something that has at least similar vibes to the Stanley Parable, and that's a bad thing for me. Is what I'm trying to say is I think it's bad that I put that stigma on his game, but because he has created something so brilliant, the stigma of all of us moviegoers putting that pressure on Shyamalan to have the twist because the twist was so good.
But Shyamalan's like at least like a 4-hit wonder. At that point, he's just inconsistent. I don't think it's. I think he's only had one.
I think there's only one real hit.
Sixth Sense Unbreakable.
It wasn't a Sixth Sense hit.
It wasn't a Sixth Sense hit. And while I love it, divisive amongst the Shyamalans, which is what we call ourselves.
Stick to your Shyamalan. I'm curious. Are you going to play any more Wonderstop?
No, I'm kind of done.
Okay, because listen, I fucking hate being the guy of it gets good after blank. Like there is sort of a twist. Not that the mundane gameplay doesn't change. You're still going to be doing some boring farming and some. I think effective tea brewing. I think the tea brewing mechanic is effective in what it is trying to do. I don't know if it's fun, but I do think tea brewing is effective. I think farming is boring. But the things it does with its characters. There have been character moments in this game where I've been like, oh shit, there's my boy. That's what I've been waiting for. But whether you want to put up with some lackluster gameplay around that is in the eye of the beholder.
Well, I think I'm going to have to play this game on Yahtzee Tries this week and see how we do. Have to settle this whole argument.
Oh, no.
But you'll only get the first hour, so you should, because then you'll definitely be on my side.
Yeah, it's got a really good... The opening's really good.
Okay, well...
Little story, get a little story, little animated cutscenes.
Yeah,
that's a flow from Progressive commercials.
That's exactly what Yahtzee likes.
Yeah, Yahtzee loves it. We poo-pooed AAA games here.
Yes,
I want to bring something to the table. Can a franchise, which has dozens and dozens of installments that are popular, be a one-hit wonder?
So
a conceptual one-hit wonder.
Can a developer be a one franchise wonder? Is what you're? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
not
asking?
not even one franchise, a one idea wonder. And the thing I want to bring to the table, because he's at GDC and he can't yell at us in the chat, is Halo. And I think Halo is a thing. There have been several successful Halo games, but I think what Halo did right from the start, which was a campaign that you could play solo or co-op, and then multiplayer with basic modes. So your team deathmatch, your capture the flag, your kind of things like that. That has been the only thing Halo has ever been truly successful at. And when it's tried to branch out, and when it's tried to do battle royale, when it's tried to do open world, when it's tried to make its multiplayer competitive in an esport, it has failed every time. And it feels like contrary to how many Halo games, when it's a strategy game, people don't really care. When it's a TV show, people definitely don't really care. It just seems like Halo is a thing that had its idea right from the start, and whenever it tries to venture outside of that, it has stumbled and never been able to reach, any of the highs of that initial idea.
Was it that much of an idea in the first place?
It's just a very good feeling shooter, right?
You're a man in an armor who shoots aliens with Nerf guns.
Yeah.
I think what the thing that you can hope for in something like that, a series that I love, I've probably played every iteration of a Mario Kart game.
Sure.
If we're going to take our most beloved Miyazaki and talk about the Souls series, which are all very similar, hitting very similar notes.
Sekiro.
That's not part of the Soul series. It's not an RPG. It does not count. There's no role playing element of Sekiro.
But it's the creator, right?
Right. But I did not say all of Miyazaki's games. I said Miyazaki's Souls series. Let's be very specific here. What we are hoping for as an audience is iteration. What we are hoping for is slightly toying with the product while keeping the vibes similar. Halo might have been toying too much and hoping that brand carries over instead of vibes.
Ooh, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll say Silent Hill 2 was a one-hit wonder because that team came together for that game and never again.
Yeah.
Although I think most of the team worked on Silent Hill 4 as well, if memory serves.
Yeah, and I don't know, did most of the one team work on 3? Because, 3 was like a direct sequel to 1.
I don't know. 3 doesn't feel like it's got the same vibes as 2, if you ask me.
No, I agree with you. All 4 of them honestly feel like they have very different vibes.
4 feels like the vibes are closer to 2 than 3's vibes.
Sure. 2 would be the other one most likely to have a large head.
I like trying to quantify vibes, which is
the modern vibe,
the aura,
the
energy, the vibrations.
Lately I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Rise, and I know a lot of Monster Hunter games hit those same notes over and over and over again with, Casey did a wonderful video talking about kind of
Wait, have you been playing Rise or the new one, Wilds?
Whatever the new one is.
Oh, okay, Wilds. Sorry. I thought you just we're going back.
I probably said Rise. Because you know why? The names are stupid.
Just put a number at the end. We're never going to forget a number.
I've been playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and Casey made a lovely video kind of explaining the iterations. They keep pushing the boundaries and contracting and pushing the boundaries and contracting because that's what we are looking for. We know the thing we like, but we do want a little bit of variation, whether it just be that simple 2D to 3D of Mario Kart original to Mario Kart 64. A Double Dash is still come on, Mario Kart. You get two Carters.
Gave us Baby Park.
You get twice the amount of items to throw at people. I love that. Yep. They never went back to it. It was so upsetting. But we want iteration, and obviously this is us being bad consumers because we want the same thing but kind of different.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I do apologize.
Well, I've said before that if you ask people what they want, they will say they want more of what they've already got. Correct. And if you give them that, they'll probably be disappointed because it's not new. And that's why you shouldn't ask people what they want. You should just make whatever you want to develop, and every now and again the stars will align and you'll make something lots of people like. But that shouldn't be... if you're in it for the art, like some of us indie developers, that shouldn't be the concern. Some of us who make our income from snarky videos instead of the games we put out, that shouldn't matter to you.
Correct. I think that's we hit on that nail quite often, which is never ever listen to the people who buy your stuff.
Like and subscribe.
Well,
please.
I think the super chats have a lot of examples to go through. If we want to get
Speaking
started on
of-
those.
Speaking of, stop check. The last thing I wanted to just touch on really quick before we go to the super chats is it's been interesting how we've publicly been able to see some of these stories unfold for various reasons. For very understandable reasons with a developer like Campo Santo who made Firewatch, their first game, a big hit. Never made a second game. They announced their second game, never made it because they got acquired by Valve, and now they are in the Valve machine. Yeah. So they're technically a one-hit wonder, but they never got a chance to make a follow-up. So, who knows what that would have been like.
I guess we're talking about people who have tried to follow up their hit, and
well, and that's
or
we're
people who have kind of people like Concerned Ape who haven't necessarily tried to follow up their big hit, and they're just kind of comfortable rehashing "Come On, Eileen" in different
sure, yeah. And then we're in the midst of seeing the follow-up landscape of Disco Elysium, which had a very kind of public falling out, rights dispute, owners fucking over the actual employees. Ironic for given what the game is about, but there's going to be the follow-up to Disco Elysium coming in like 4 different games from 4 different teams because everything's shattered there, which is very, very interesting. But
absolutely,
a topic that's strange and one that I'm glad you brought up the other day, Jack.
Even though we disagree on why I brought it up,
we disagree on why. You are wrong because you just don't embrace the boringness of making tea. You're a good big friend.
Man, you'd hate Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's a lot of tea ceremony shit.
You know what? I think tea ceremonies in games great. I think that's the secret. I think the secret is tea ceremonies. Excellent.
I love the Japanese tea ceremony because it was the thing where if you walked in and did like the slightest thing wrong, like kneeled on the wrong foot or something, you would get immediately murdered. What a great time for tea ceremonies.
We need to bring that level of... That's what Wanderstop should have been. That level of if you fuck up, there are dire consequences.
You have to learn the rules or it's game over. That would be brilliant. Oh, that would be a great roguelike, by the way. I was just like, every time you start a new game, the rules for the tea ceremony are slightly different. And it's your job to learn them before the tea ceremony. If you fuck up, you die. Yeah. I would fucking love that game.
I just learned this from Assassin's Creed Shadows, actually. Apparently, if you were at the tea ceremony, you had to... You pass the tea around, and when you hold the tea bowl, you have to rotate it so that its front faces everyone else. And if you do anything else, you'll be ostracized as a freak.
Yeah. I do that if I eat pizza with people. If you don't start with the crust, you're dead to me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
With stuffed crusts, maybe.
Oh, hell yeah.
Marty, I asked you to read the super chats because I'm coming off the flu.
You know what? Yeah, that voice is money, so don't worry. I'm going to put my gravelly tone to these. Thank you. So many people have already dumped their super chats in here. Dr. Theo, thank you so much for the $5 dono. I know one. Dead by Daylight. Any attempt to make a new game by behavior fails miserably. Just look at Meet Your Maker. They're stuck with Dead by Daylight forever.
Well, they could always make visual novels out of it, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Dating sims.
Yeah. I guess it's also another thing. Like, if you make something that is just that popular, then it's almost like, well, this is just the rest of our life, right?
Especially if it's an online multiplayer game, you have to be continually supporting and providing updates for.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the ideal situation there is that they could hand off the maintenance of Dead by Daylight to some sort of B team while they then work on something new.
Yeah. Which I think is technically what Concerned Ape, Eric Barone, has done with Stardew, but yeah.
Sure.
That's something we'll have to see. Pure Pyro rejoined the Green Gang. Thank you so much, Pure Pyro. And then just existing, been in the Green Gang for 14 months. Thank you. Yahtzee, I hope you know how appreciated you are.
Oh, just the other day, my eldest beckoned me over and whispered in my ear and said, "Daddy, I think you're the best baker in this house."
Wow. Whoa. First off, shots fired to your wife. Incredibly,
She doesn't
because it had to
bake.
be a 2-horse race. There's no way one of the kids are better than you guys, right?
She doesn't bake. I'm the one. I'm the one that's making fun bread every week, and my wife is starting to get annoyed because my kids prefer to eat that over the actually healthy bread that we buy with all the multigrains and stuff in it.
Your bread looks good. Your
Your
little
bread looks
rolls,
good.
they look good.
And of course, you are giving them something with significantly more sugar content. Like, of course, they're going to like it.
Well, they ain't eating my pies. My pies are for me.
Wow, a selfish baker. I appreciate that.
That's why I got into baking, because I like treats and I want to have treats for the whole week.
There you go. You could be in charge of your own treats. I like that. Witticism with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Witticism. Bringing up the Cuphead devs. I'm worried about Studio MDHR. Just checking their site, and the last 2 posts were 7th and 6th anniversary post about Cuphead. Nothing since the DLC. I mean, I do think there's a level of, if you make a thing and you're just working on your next thing, you don't got to tell us about it. Like, you can just go work on it. Like,
especially if it's absolutely nothing like Cuphead. I mean, why would we need to know the developers of Cuphead were making it?
Right. If they're making a grim, dark first-person shooter, I might not want to know it's the Cuphead developers.
Yes. I mean, maybe like after we play it and go, oh, this is actually pretty good. They say, hey, guess who made this? The Cuphead developers. Oh, how interesting. Wouldn't have called that. And that's the last time we think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you almost want to go in a game without knowing who made it?
That's what I usually do. I didn't know who made Return of the Obra Dinn when I started playing it.
Oh. Maybe that's one of my problems is I know too much. My brain too big. I'm like the leader from Captain America.
This is why I avoid reading gaming news and stuff.
I do like that there is an issue, of course, like I said, about kind of like us as consumers putting on expectations that maybe shouldn't be there. And that's a double-sided sword for the celebrity of solo game developers, or for the celebrity of figureheads of games, right? Where if I started playing Wonderstop and didn't know it was Davey, I might have just been like, yeah, it's fine. It's, a little cozy game. But because I knew it was from the creator of Stanley Parable, I had different expectations. Now, to be fair, the only reason I bought and played it was because it was from the creator of the Stanley Parable.
100% with me.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I like a cozy aesthetic and I appreciate the cozy genre. I usually don't dip into cozies.
Yeah.
But I did with this one purely because of that. And also, we were talking about in a call earlier today. I brought up this game on the stream a couple weeks ago called Ambidextro.
Yeah.
Putting the Steam link here. Oh my God, why am I signed into fucking Second Wind? What just happened? That was terrifying. I don't want any of that. And it was this game where you play as 2 wizards, and the wizards have to meet in a short amount of time. You got your left hand is one wizard, right hand's the other wizard. I'm like, this looks very neat. Email the developer. We're getting code soon. I find out over the course, this is developed by the developer of Pineapple on Pizza, which was one of my favorite games fucking ever. I think it is the best example of a joke. A game that is a joke with like a lead up and a punchline, and it's delightful.
And when the punchline hits, you go, oh,
that's pretty good.
And then you never play it again.
And it's 12 minutes of your life. It's wonderful. So I was just very excited to know that they're continuing to work. So shout out to them. Sovereign with a €2 dono. Pong? I mean, do we know who made Pong?
Atari, Nolan Bushnell, who went on to make shit like Adventure and all those other early hits.
I'm going to be honest. That was terrible of you to write Pong then, because that was a fucking that was a banger, and he kept making bangers.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know who made Pong.
Wasn't it Nolan Bushnell who went on to found Chuck E. Cheese after he'd finished founding Atari?
That's a big two. That's not a one-hit wonder at all.
Yeah.
No. He had
Charles Entertainment Cheese.
He had two big ideas.
Yeah.
There you go.
In 2 like extremely different mediums, which is even more impressive.
Yeah.
It's like Big Jim being like, I'm going to make some killer movies, but also I'm going to discover how to go to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, there was a lot of crossover because Chuck E. Cheese had a lot of video games in it.
That is true. Sure.
Yeah, and really, Pong is just a ripoff of tennis. So it's like, who cares?
The sport tennis?
The sport, yeah.
The sport.
It's like Madden's a ripoff of football.
Like if you think about it, Madden is just a ripoff of American football. Like, come on,
It's an adaptation of American football.
That's the joke.
It's a reimagining of American football.
Love a reimagining. Sussy Guru with a €5 dono. Thank you so much, Sussy Guru. How many centuries ago did Jack record that intro?
I know he had hair.
I did.
Crazy.
There was a while. Thank you.
Get him out of there.
Thank you.
There he is again.
There was a while I went bald where I kept a little bit of the side and the back hair, and it's a strange time to look back on. There was even a time I had a skullet, just real long hair in the back, big bushy beard. It was a dangerous time to be
skullet.
Skullet.
Yeah, I'm mostly balding from the back, but it's balding at the front a bit as well. I'm probably going to end up with one of those hair islands.
Yeah, and that's that's fine.
Just like the tuft at the front. But, I'd probably go the full shave before that happened. Or, like a number one.
Ooh,
just a stubbly Heston Blumenthal style.
Little stubble's nice. I think also like the Costanza, just the crown, the Packard works as well.
What about the monk?
The monk?
The tonsure.
Yeah, like, the monk hair?
Yeah. They deliberately shaved it that way, Marty. It was a sign of their devotion to
sexy.
God.
Yeah, because they wanted to devote to God. I thought it was because they wanted to look like a couple of hard bodies.
I made that video over probably at this point 13, 14 years ago when my children were potty training, and that was the song that I sung to them. So
did it work?
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
apparently potty trained.
They could stop. First of all, look at that hip action. You're welcome.
That's good. You're probably burning some calories there.
I mean, my kids are potty trained, but we didn't need to do that. We just said
you gotta do something while you're just sitting there, like trying to make them feel comfortable. And so I'd sing a little song.
Okay, we just said, "Go if you pee or poo in the toilet, we'll buy you a toy."
Oh yeah, I was trying to make it an enjoyable experience without the need for bribery.
Okay, but it worked. They don't demand toys now every time they poo.
Oh, okay.
I do. I still do. Fox D with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Fox D. The Stanley Parable fell flat with me because it's easy to deconstruct the tropes of narrative gaming when you have a curated walking simulator.
But you were supposed to defy what you were told to do. That was the game.
Yeah.
I think it kind of needed to be a curated walking simulator in order to convey those things.
Yes, it was a trick. It was a trick walking simulator. You thought you were defying the instructions, but you were really just going down another thread.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if you just played the game and you just did what they told you to do, and you're like, I don't get it. I just went through.
By the way, I'm sure several people did.
Sure,
they beat the game and they're like, why is everyone loving this game? This is stupid.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure one of the story threads you can get is if you just go back inside your office and close the door.
Yeah.
I remember, ages ago, I did an interview with Edmund McMillan, and he was talking about people who played The Binding of Isaac, but only once through. And they would beat Mom on level 7 or 8 and think that they won the entire game. Mm-hmm. And we're like, how can people sink hundreds of hours into this stupid game? I beat it in 20 minutes.
You dumb bastards.
Some people just don't know.
Some people like their cucumbers pickled. I believe in dude.
By the way, sorry to interrupt, but that's an example of someone who kind of got out of a one-hit wonder is Edmund, first success with Meat Boy, and then, went on to solo, went on with a different programming partner for Isaac, kind of got out of that, could have been a one-hit wonder with Super Meat Boy.
Yeah.
Well, he's kind of one-hit wondering it with Isaac now.
But hey, he's 2 hits. He's got Meat Boy and he's got Isaac.
All right, 2-hit wonder.
Yeah,
fair enough.
That's more than 1 hit.
Are there how many folks are there who are responsible for 2 franchises that are highly Miyamoto and Kojima? Is that
Are we considering?
I guess Todd Howard. Did he?
Wait, are we considering Death Stranding a big IP?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the biggest games of this year. Death Stranding 2
well,
in my house. Death Stranding 2 on the beach, June 26th. If you could pre-order and you could get yourself a big replica of Magellan Man. I know you've wanted Magellan Man in your house. You put up that little YouTube play button in the background just as a placeholder for Magellan Man.
Magellan Man goes right here. I definitely know who Magellan Man is as well.
He's a big inky boy who puts a spaceship on his head. Magellan Man.
If we could move on, some of us have shit to do today.
I have to do the same shit you have to do. What are you talking about? We all got shit to do. I believe in Doo-Doo Man with a $2 dono. Thank you, Doo-Doo Man. Sounds like somebody that I used to know. Gautier. Remember Gautier?
Yeah, and his one song,
And his one
Didn't
song,
that like totally ruin his life, apparently?
No, he has a moderately successful career in an indie rock band and uses the money from that to kind of fund the music he plays now. He's very happy with it.
Well, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, shout out to Goatsy. Ryan Betts with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Ryan Betts. Stanley Parable Fully Ramblematic episode when? Did you never cover that on Fully Ramblo or on CP?
I honestly don't know. I guess I didn't, thinking about it. I'm not sure what there is to say about it.
It almost feels like one of those things that's like, it's really good.
I mean, part of the reason why I never did Undertale is because it's so deconstructive. You can't really do a deconstructive review of something that's already deconstructing itself.
Sure.
Yeah. Good point.
That's a good point. Double good point. Sovereign with a €5 dono. Thank you so much. Sovereign. John Romero, perhaps. Ooh, that's an interesting one. More of a two-hit wonder, to be fair, but after Doom and Quake, he never really hit that level again. No offense to the man, of course.
Well, this was more a situation that John Romero kind of needed the stabilizing influence of John Carmack. They kind of needed each other, I think. Because John Romero was full of big ideas, but he wasn't great at, following through or like logistics or like administration. That's why, like, the development of Daikatana was like a train wreck, and he was full of ideas, and he wanted to put them all in the game, and that's why that game sucked. It was trying to spread itself too thin. Meanwhile, Carmack went on to make a load of very boring first-person shooters because they didn't have Romero's crazy ideas.
There you go.
Quake 1, I want to say, was like the peak of their partnership.
Over Doom?
Well...
I mean, I would probably rather play Quake 1 than Doom, but like Doom's probably more important, right?
Well, Quake, I'd argue Quake might be more important from a technical perspective because it was the first fully polygonal 3D first-person shooter. Sure. Arguably speaking.
Yeah.
That was Carmack's masterwork. I mean, there are games to this day that still have code from the Quake engine in it.
Do we give them a pass because they helped define a genre? Like they helped define a cornerstone of gaming. So do we just give them a pass?
Pretty much. Basically, everyone who worked on Doom got like a free pass for life. American McGee, Tom Hall, Jason Hall, no relation.
I think like if your one hit wonder helps, turns into a pillar of the industry, that's fine. That's totally fine. Right?
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
These are the silly things like, Orson Welles, had some hits, but
you can kind of ride that Citizen Kane wave for a while. You're fine.
You can ride that for a good long time.
Yeah. A superb owner with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Does the one-hit wild magic from Side Quest 1 count? I mean, that was a one-hit wonder.
That was a big hit.
Also, everyone remember to watch Adventures Nigh Season 4, Episode 3 just premiered this weekend.
This was the very wholesome episode before all the horrible things set in.
So, by the way, I'm editing the next few episodes right now. So many horrible things happen.
It's funny because it was years ago and I can't remember anything. So beautiful. A superb owner back with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. Has anyone played Dr. Langaskov, The Tiger and the Terribly Cursed Emerald, a whirlwind heist? Feel free to insert as many dry heaves as desired.
Well, there'd only be one dry heave because there's still only one colon.
There is, there's just the Oxford comma, which we appreciate. Is this game like purposely named this because it's like a goof game, or is the game just named that?
Sometimes people go with the long title goof, like the incredibly strange creatures that stopped living and became mixed up zombies. It's a goof sometimes.
Sure. I like a goof.
Okay.
I'm pro goof. This is going to be a weird. This doesn't have anything to do with what we were just talking about. I just saw Night Dive, the studio that does all those remasters and sort of bringing back old games. They're bringing back I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Did you ever play that?
Oh,
The old
I know
adventure
of.
game.
I'm quite familiar with it. Yes, old. What's his name? The dude who wrote the original short story.
Harlan Ellison.
Yeah, Harlan Ellison. He came on and closely worked with the developers. In fact, he voices the evil computer in that game.
oh, fun.
Yeah, I'm excited because I've seen video essays. I think Jacob Geller had a video essay on it. But yeah, news just came out that it's being re-released on PC and consoles at the end of this month. Like a juiced up version. So
Huh.
yeah,
I'm surprised it hasn't been already.
yeah, right. Alex Armstrong with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Sonic 3 and Knuckles because fans won't shut the hell up about it. But those are two separate games, unless you're talking about Sonic 3 combined with Knuckles. Sonic and Knuckles was more of a vessel that we poured ourselves into.
I don't think even I would argue Sonic is a one-hit wonder.
No,
Right.
and
Sonic
for
has many iterations.
they might be the worst offender of. Hey,
One
what if we just
franchise
change
wonder?
everything? What if we try to change everything? Oh yeah, they're definitely one friend. Well, Yuji Naka did make Balan Wonderworld, so put some respect.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
Sonic Team is certainly a one franchise wonder. It's in the name.
Yeah. If you get that name there, you kind of can't escape that. The Merchant of Life with a €10 dono. Thank you so much, Merchant of Life. Nailing something so well the first time that it becomes your life is truly terrifying. What would happen with Pokemon? Would Pokemon Go count as a one-hit wonder? I would say so for Niantic.
I guess no one wants. Yeah, I guess no one wants to think they've already peaked.
Yeah.
They want to think, this is just the beginning of my great works.
And
I
certain
like to think-
things might be right place, right time. Like, it might not even be the fault of the thing itself.
I like to think my game development career hasn't peaked yet. I've put out a lot of indie stuff that I've gradually improved my skills over time, and my games have been getting slowly better, I like to think. So maybe one day I will have my big hit and be remembered alongside the great luminaries of the solo developer world.
But unlike
Okay.
Niantic, you didn't just continually see what made the one thing popular and continue to do this, because they did Ingress and then Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Go blew up that summer. And then afterwards, they tried to adapt that exact same formula to stuff like Pikmin, to Ghostbusters, to Monster Hunter, to Harry Potter, to NBA.
Well, in
Did they also
fairness,
do the Witcher
capturing
one?
men. Yeah.
in fairness, they kind of invented a whole new format for playing games. And
Sure,
so,
Yeah.
you know, it's just natural they'd want to sort of see what else would work in that sort of format.
But
then
like
they-
definitely like the the glut of similar content. You know, like Pokemon Go was, you know, kind of working off of the foundation of Ingress, but it was the thing that captured people's imagination. So then they're like, what if Pokemon Go, but X, all of the iterations of that without necessarily changing the big thing. And so everyone kind of was like, well, why am I playing all of these when I can just play Pokemon Go? It's
And I think they kind of realize
silly.
this because they just sold all of their games to the like pretty much the Saudi government. So great. Nothing weird about that. Blistered Soul with a £5 dono. Thank you so much. ND, I'm assuming Naughty Dog chasing GTA meant Jack and Daxter 1's mystique was dropped for dystopian city environments and gunplay. Exploring and music of one emphasized the natural beauty. I mean,
That's not a one in wonder. That's just a franchise that fell off. Among many developed by the same developer.
Yeah, and that could be an entirely different conversation of by chasing what the big new thing is. Very few people are ever able to catch up with that big new thing, and usually by that time they're on to a new big thing. So, Jack and Daxter becoming like quote unquote adult, I think, lost a lot of the charm of that original game.
That was sort of the trend of the era. Like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time did the same thing with
The Darkening,
Warrior Within.
Yeah, Zelda even did that with Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess, the ingrimining of early 2000s video game.
Ooh,
I
that's
blame
a
the
great
Brown
term.
era. I absolutely blame the Brown era, which
I blame
obviously
Christopher Nolan. It was all Christopher Nolan's fault. He made everything too dark and gritty, and then people were like, "We should do this for video games."
No, it was Marilyn Manson. That whole musical movement creating a generation of disaffected young people.
The big two, Marilyn Manson and
Chrissy Nolan. Yeah.
See, Darren can't defend himself because he's in Australia.
Take that, Darren.
Get bent. Fox D with a $5 dono. Thank you again, Fox D. It's easier to find a second hit when your first hit establishes a template. Innovation is Daffy Duck blowing himself up. Can only do it once.
Okay. But then he does the gag where the beak spins around his head.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
I think you can find new ways to explode yourself in interesting fashions. I'm going to my usual go-to high watermark for indie developers is Terry Kavanagh, who I first discovered with VVVVVV. But I probably have more time in Super Hexagon than any other game on my phone. Super Hexagon, the mobile game,
love Super Hexagon,
is phenomenal. Two wildly different games. Also, working within game engine spaces, within musical production spaces. I think there is a way, like we talked about with Lucas Pope, where like going from this very simple 2D Papers, Please into like the gorgeous 3D renderings in Obra Dinn, there is ways to make it interesting for yourself. There is a way to explode multiple times.
There you go.
Hubba.
It's interesting also to look at a developer like the Persona team. I'm sorry, Jack. We bring up Persona every episode because we have to.
That's okay. Yeah.
But they did Persona 3 and 4, very much creating a mold, following the mold. Then they did Catherine, which is very different than those, which is about like a relationship and infidelity and weird puzzles where you climb in your dream. Then they went back to Persona 5, and then they made Metaphor, which is very much Persona, but fantasy. So it's funny, the one time they did really veer out of the formula, it was not quite as popular, so they went back to the formula.
And really inconsistent levels of horny from game to game.
Yeah, Catherine's the highest level of hornies, and then 5 was still pretty horny, but Metaphor, very little.
Not very horny at all. No, you can't even snog anyone.
I had so many ropes to get out and I couldn't. I'm sorry. Where are we? Liam Omega with a $2 dono. Thank you, Liam. Yahtzee, name 5 one-hit wonder songs.
Oh, blimey. We had one, Jack mentioned one earlier. Come On Eileen by Dixie's
Speaking of horny.
Runners.
Yeah.
There you go. Africa by Toto. Did Toto have any other songs?
That Rosanna.
Was that a hit? I think Africa's the big hit. We can count it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Men at Work, Land Down Under.
Boom.
That's a
there
great
you go.
One. Gina G, Ooh Ah, Just a Little Bit.
Great song.
Think of terrible British songs that no one else remembers. All That She Wants, Ace of Base.
Whoa.
No, the sign.
They had the sign as well.
Oh shit.
I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes.
Natalie Imbruglia. The one where she's lying naked on the floor.
Torn?
Yes,
Torn.
Nothing's right, I'm torn.
That's a great one. You also could have used Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men.
Baha Men. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think of that. I was trying to think of what shit showed up in like number 1 in like the British charts when I was a teenager.
You can think of Breakfast at Tiffany's. And
yes.
You can think about Absolutely, parentheses, A Story of a Girl.
We were just talking about that song. What a name.
This is the story of a girl.
I think one-hit wonders might be the best genre of music. It goes one-hit wonders, it goes classical, and then it goes jazz. And then in that order.
And no other music exists.
Yeah, shout out to Mambo number 5 as well. Thank you, Mindless Fool. Sovereign with a €2 dono. Thank you so much. Team Cherry, If Silk Song Never Comes. Another great example of you created a generation-defining beloved game. Yeah. What do you do next? And this game, I mean, Silk Song's a great example because it just started as DLC, as like an expansion for Hollow Knight, and then kind of grew out of control because Hollow Knight was so big and so beloved that it was like, we need to make this our own game. And now it's become like a fucking meme, right?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, and of course, like, I think we might have been a little negative, a little mean to them. Like, there is a genuine, palpable pressure after you create such a monster hit to do it again, and do it again.
Yeah.
And so, like, we don't want to I don't want to underplay like the pressure that this does put on studios, on song makers, on movie makers. Like, having a hit can sometimes be a mental burden, and so we would like to respect that.
It's funny. It's like following up a big indie success. To me, there's like so many developers and trying to see what they do. It almost feels the same as when you look at those developers that really hit during the 8 and 16-bit generation with games, and then what they had to do when 3D came along. And you had some, like, Nintendo was able to adapt really well. Kojima could adapt the 3D, but then you had stuff like Castlevania and Mega Man and Earthworm Jim that like did kind of had growing pains into 3D, right?
Peter Molyneux leaps to mind.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's like I don't even know what he's not one hit wonder, but like if his one hit his one hit was just weird ideas.
No, he was just a guy who couldn't really operate without parameters. In 2D times, he made great games, and then suddenly he could do whatever he wanted, and everything went to shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I like that. Alex Armstrong with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Alex. Design question: do time limits in games add replayability and fun suspense, especially in storytelling, or do they ruin players' pace and add unneeded tension?
Well, they always stress me out.
Sure.
I think in moderation, maybe. If you got like a timed sequence to run away from an exploding thing, and you got 3 minutes to get away from something, that's a fun like tense moment in itself. But if you've got a game that's got like a 60-hour time limit to complete the entire game, and it's constantly hanging over you, that would probably be too stressful for the whole experience.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of like there are some games in which like they give you like a 20-30 second timer to make a dialogue choice. And that always, I hate that because I'm such an incredibly slow reader that sometimes I can't read all of the options before the timer runs out. So that's, accessibility, bad design. But like you mentioned, like I'm thinking of the end of one of the Metroids where you have to, escape from the ship.
I think literally all of them, Milligan, like that, where you have to run out in 3 minutes or whatever. Yeah,
and that's really fun. That's a really fun, a fun stress versus a bad stress.
Yeah, and it kind of depends if your game is like built around, like Majora's Mask is built around time as a mechanic, so you kind of know that going in. Whereas if you just threw a tough time thing in the middle of a game that didn't have that, you might be like, oh shit, what's this?
Yeah.
So as every question ever on this show, the answer is depends. The answer to everything. Fungus Finder with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Fungus Finder. Does quote one hit equal unique? Because there's nothing like Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is a great example of we don't know if they're one hit one. They've done one.
Yeah.
They haven't done a second to know if it's a wonder or not.
We'll see what they follow it up with. There you go.
Yeah, but it's also, it's been 6 years.
They're Schrodinger's one-hit wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not a one-hit wonder until they bring something out, until we open the box on their next game and collapse the waveform.
And that is like that is very tough. It's tough to talk about one-hit wonders in game development because games do take an incredibly long time to make. But after 6, like, have we heard anything that they're working on after 6 years?
No, again, it's been a lot of porting the game. They did the DLC. They did this really cool book that comes with a little model of the ship, and so it almost feels like doing everything you can. That's not the next thing. Maybe they have been working on it. Maybe they'll show it off this summer and it'll be out this fall. But who knows? Nick Knoll with a $5 dono. Thank you, Nick Knoll. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where developers are releasing games under pseudonyms to take away the pressure, a la Richard Bachman?
The thing you have to remember about Richard Bachman
was a Stephen King pseudonym.
Yeah, and the thing you have to understand about Richard Bachman is that everybody knows that Richard Bachman is Stephen King, and the reason why everyone knows
at the time it was
part of the reason why everyone knows that he's Stephen King is because the books didn't sell quite so well until he came out and said, "Oh, by the way, these were by me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a similar thing happened with J.K. Rowling, right? Like after Harry Potter, she
Anne Rice,
shitty crime books.
Anne Rice, as well as her vampire books, wrote a load of like really porny erotic books that she wrote under the name A.N. Rockalore. But if you seek out those books now, they're all sold as by Anne Rice writing A.N. Rockalore. And this is like what happens a lot when people delude themselves into thinking they're in it for the art and not the money.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, that double-edged sword of being of fame, right? Of having a name is it gives you access to publicity, to free publicity for your next thing, but it also sets up expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we really have an example of that in the game space?
Like thinking about an example you talked about earlier, Marty, with like yacht club games. I can't give you a name of anyone that made Shovel Knight besides yacht club games. That is an example of like yacht club could just put out another thing, and we don't know the person who made it. Now they as a publisher and as a game making studio have maybe some things. Maybe they could put it out under an individual's name, and we wouldn't have those expectations. Does that change things?
I'm sure there's a lot of individuals who were closely involved in big titles that have went on to change studios and work on another big title and didn't make a big song and dance about it, and we don't know about it because we don't know about it.
Sure,
right?
Yeah. Someone like Clint Hawking who kind of bounced around to a couple.
Well, that's someone we do know about. I'm talking about people we don't know about.
I guess. Oh, but then you have someone. No, any example I give. An interesting example was for the first 9 hours. PT. When PT. The playable teaser for Silent Hills was released, it was not released as a Silent Hill thing, and it was not released as a Kojima project. And then it took about I think it released. I went to bed, and when I woke up, everyone had already cracked it, and that it was a Kojima project Silent Hill thing. So, but that lasted about half a day. Fox D with another $5 dono. Thank you so much. One Idea Wonder. Bethesda's made the 2006 Game of the Year 6 times now, most recently 2 years ago. There's your prime example. I mean, they have a lane and they understand their lane, right?
I mean, they've been trying. Starfield, God bless it, was an attempt to not make Skyrim.
Yeah, but it still was kind of just that's Fallout, Skyrim, and that all feel kind of like the same thing, just a different cone of paint, right?
I mean, we can all make fun of Nickelback, but at the end of the day, Nickelback puts out roughly the same music to an audience that keeps buying their records. And so if y'all keep buying it, they're going to keep putting it out.
Yeah. You gotta incentivize them to change.
So is Miyazaki just the Nickelback of video games?
Or Todd Howard.
Todd Howard is, sorry.
Howard is the Nickelback of video games.
Yeah,
why is Miyazaki not?
Miyazaki is the White Stripes of video games, where they also do the same thing, but they have a little more respect.
We're not sure if he's kissing his sister or not. We're not sure what's going on there. We got some questions. Alex Armstrong with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Was Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning mentioned?
That was another. They just didn't make any follow-ups to that scenario.
Well, also that studio famously, that was the Kurt Schilling studio that stole a bunch of taxpayer money from the state of Maryland, I believe.
Oh,
yeah. So that was a one-hit wonder, partly because they took money from people, which is not great. Can't do that. Will Tooling with a £2 dono. Thank you so much. Will Tetris basically hit perfection with the NES/Game Boy.
Well, I'll grant you that one. I can't think of any of the games Alexei Pachitnov made.
Yeah, but I guess that's is that the same thing as the Doom guys? Like you get a lifetime pass because you made a thing
because you made Tetris. I'm gonna say 100%.
Yeah, I don't even know what he did after Tetris. I mean, he lived in Russia, so like all the money that Tetris made became the property of the state.
Didn't I want to say he got like kidnapped? He got willfully kidnapped and like set up shop in Oregon and set up like a video game preservation foundation. This might be me making up a complete amount of bullshit, but
you know what? He made Hexic, which was delightful. That was a game that came with the 360, a puzzle game, Hexic.
Oh, okay.
Hexic.
Great.
He just likes. He's a dude who likes puzzles. Shout out to puzzle.
Yeah, there you go.
Longshank's been waiting for someone to bring up this person with a £5 dono. I think Minecraft is the best example. Notch made Minecraft, sold it to Microsoft for billions, and then fucked off.
Yeah, I think he was planning to make more things, but then he didn't.
But then got a little lost in his own sauce.
He got lost in his own pick and mix machine, I think.
To be fair, his views that we all got mad at, they're back in style.
Oh no!
Yeah, well,
you got a place in the White House, Notch. Come on.
Hey, Minecraft.
Yeah,
all is forgiven.
Yeah,
get uncancelled.
Maddie D, been an ad-free podcast for a year. Thank you so much, Maddie D. And then Spider Williams 13 with a $5 dono. Thank you, Spider Williams. Yahtzee. Hope this isn't too personal, but have your kids discovered any games /shows /movies that make you go, oh Christ, not this?
Well, I generally leave the room when they are watching their kids' TV because that shit's annoying when you're trying to focus on something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're obsessed with Pupstruction, which is like a knockoff of Paw Patrol that focuses on construction workers, and because they watched it before they watched Paw Patrol, they latched onto this thing first.
Love it.
Good.
Yeah, they got all the toys.
It's not propaganda, so this one's fine. This one gets a pass.
I'm perfectly happy to be in the room when they're watching Bluey. I can't stand it when they're watching fucking Mickey Mouse shorts.
Yeah. What? You don't like Mickey Mouse shorts?
No.
Okay.
I hate this. I hate the fucking voices of every Mickey Mouse character. I hate listening to them.
What about Donald?
I hate that stupid. I hate Donald even more. I hate Goofy's stupid fucking chuckle thing.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
You know,
there's a lot of really bad kids stuff out there. You will find, like this generation has Bluey. For me and my kids, it was Phineas and Ferb. Like, there's always that good stuff where you're like, hey, do you want to watch this kid show with me? Because I want to watch it.
Yeah, they're like, no, we want to watch Vexen.
And they're like, oh, fuck.
Jack, I'm sure you've hit a point since your children are much older than Yahtzee's of not wanting to, you don't want to be the person who's like, I'm just going to make your personality my personality, and so you're going to love all the nostalgic things I love, because it's like you're a human being. You got to we all watched shit as a kid that was bad.
I watched really weird shit when I was a kid. British children's television was kind of fucked.
No, and like mine are teenagers now, but like, as teenagers, it's a mixed bag because mine play mobile phone gacha games. Like they fucking love those stupid things, whatever you call, like your oh God, what are they called?
Genshin?
Like Genshin or games like Genshin, but not even Genshin. So they play mobile games that I don't give a shit about. But like my 13-year-old has now beaten Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, and is going through Demon's Souls now. And he's doing that like as a way where we can we can play together. Basically, I can watch him and help guide him. But and so it's like it's a mixed bag where there's going to be crap that they like and lovely stuff they like.
I tell you what, I was at a kid's party a couple of weekends back at where was it? It was at like a park or something.
Sure.
And every other kid there wearing Bluey merch.
It's reached like brand new levels of popularity, right?
Yeah,
like Bluey is like one of the most popular things.
There were Bluey dresses, Bluey sweaters. I recognized because our kid had most of them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also one of those, it feels like, well, I guess it's not the same as, I was going to compare it to Calvin and Hobbes, but I guess Calvin and Hobbes that guy was notoriously iron fist when it came to merchandising the shit out of his stuff, right? That's why we never had like a movie or anything.
Correct.
Yeah. Kibosh.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll die eventually, and then that'll happen.
And you guys are calling like the ZZZ stuff, Honkai Star Rail, like that kind of
the Honky Star Rails,
Honky Star Rail, yeah,
gacha games.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that they play on their mobile devices, which I will like very subtly roll my eyes at every time I see them playing. It's like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing?
You could be making songs trying to potty train children. What are you doing?
You could be doing anything with your life.
Alex Armstrong with a $2 dodo. Thank you so much, Alex. BioShock, since Yahtzee declared culture shock so meh. You went back on that though. You're a fan of that, right?
Yeah. I like BioShock Infinite. I actually like BioShock 2 less. I know a lot of people support it.
Yeah.
And let's wait and see what Judas is like. I bet Judas will shut us all up.
In the year 2027. Yeah, it's also just tough because there's also examples of you've made something that's so popular that just you're probably never going to make anything that popular again, and that's not a knock against you. It's just you made a thing that was immensely important and popular.
Well, BioShock was a follow-up to System Shock 2, which in itself was also a huge hit and enormously influential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red Door for the $2 dono with a pretty good one, I would say. Katamari Damacy.
Oh, yes, because, of course, the guy behind that went on to make stuff like Nobby Nobby Boy and Watam.
And a new game coming out very soon called To a T, where you play a colorful thing that is T-posing, and you got to just go through life.
Yeah,
T-posing.
his shit was just mystifying. I think I said before, Katamari Damacy was him and the concept of video games just briefly crossing over as they fly through the sky.
Yes.
Juicy Jeff with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Juicy Jeff. Behemoth with Castle Crashers comes to mind. Nothing else seems to have struck as much reverence. Catalogs are subjective, I suppose.
Yeah, for the longest time, I thought Castle Crashers was one of Edmund Macmillan's things because it's got that similar sort of Newgroundsy visual style.
Yeah, and it was a very similar time when they were
with
early
full of
indie days.
Full of edgy humor, lots of peas and poos and gore.
Well, and that was at the rise of like the Xbox 360 indie revolution. So
yeah.
Yeah,
which was
they did.
It was like the follow-up to the Newgrounds revolution, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
Which that literally their first game was Alien Hominid, which was I think started as a Newgrounds game and then became like a console game. So,
well, and the same with Meat Boy, not Super Meat Boy, but Meat Boy was a Newgrounds game.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Oh, I never even thought about what. I just assumed it came out of the womb as Super Meat Boy. I never thought about
no.
Yeah.
It's a super version of the original.
Yeah, like Spelunky is technically an HD remake of Spelunker, the games that they made for Newgrounds. So yeah.
Do that. Ryan Betts with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Ryan Betts. It's been so nice having Jack on as a recurring guest. Now, Eric, would you kindly scar him and Marty with the Cadbury Caramel Bunny from a few weeks ago?
No, whatever that is, we don't need to. We don't need to see. You don't need to.
I don't even remember what that was. Was I not here?
That's one of the British reference things. It's the mascot for Cadbury's Caramel, who was weirdly sexy, and is one of the
not scarred at all.
One of the
few is looking for it.
One of the few examples of a character with a sexy character with a West Country accent. Like, ooh, I'd love to have some lovely sex with you.
That had to have been on Yahtzee Tries and not here, because I have zero memory of it. And granted, I do black out a lot on these shows and forget what we talked about. But
I might not have been with you. When was that?
It was definitely maybe you and Jay were doing a stream.
It was definitely on Windbreakers because we had Eric pull up pictures of the Cadbury's Caramel Rabbit.
Shit.
Oh, so maybe it was a week you weren't here. Who knows?
But then Jack was probably filling in, so Jack should know what it
is. I know I was not filling in. This is new to me. This is my first. I don't know if I've been on Windbreakers. Period. I don't know if you've ever had me on.
No, there was an episode. Someone filled it because after Casey's wedding or after Omar's wedding, I stayed in Baltimore for a few days. And someone filled in. That might have been Casey though.
Oh, I think it might have been Casey. Now you mentioned it. Yeah.
Oh, because you guys were making fun of Astrobot. And people were like, where's Marty? He needs to defend the Astros.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect. We solved it. Alex Armstrong with a $2 dono. Thank you again, Alex. Undertale, because I know Deltarune will never surpass.
I did play
he's continuing to make things.
I did play the start of the first episode, but it wasn't really clicking for me. I don't know, but we'll see when the rest of it's out, I suppose.
Yeah. You're very, I feel like we've all been burned by episodic things in the past before. So it's like, let's just wait till this thing is done. Just existing with under $2 Canadian. Thank you so much. The Chuck E. Cheese guy should just make his own Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, that seems like a way to pivot to get more people interested in a Chuck E. Cheese is to make it a little bit spooky and 1 out of 100 kids dies.
I mean, I guess that's what the IP controllers of the Banana Splits did. They're like, hey, we've got this thing that's already kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. Let's make Five Nights at Freddy's out of it.
Oh,
there you go.
You know the Banana Splits movie?
No, I don't know what any of this is.
It was that Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff made by people who had the ownership rights over a shitty sort of like 70s children's show called The Banana Split that featured 4 like mascot characters in costumes.
Gotcha.
Is that the Nicolas Cage one?
No,
that was,
but it's very that was something else entirely.
But still a Five Nights ripoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense to take like something because a lot of those like old 70s kids shows are kind of inherently a little creepy. So it doesn't feel like you need to turn the dial too much to creep them up. Like if you would like, there's like Jordan Peele is apparently making like a Barney thing, and I'm like, I could see that being like a little creepy, or producing a Barney thing. Fox D with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Fox D. As I approach 50, I'm doing the full half-shing with my bald top and long flowing locks out of the back of my hat.
Using a hat to disguise the fact that you are bald, I suppose.
Hat fishing. I thought that was an L. I was saying half fishing. Hat fishing. I like that.
I wasn't balding when I was a hat guy. Perhaps I went through my hat phase too early.
Oh yeah, listen. Once you have to live your life hat free once you're balding, because you never want to see that look of disappointment on someone's face. When, like, especially during the wintertime, I got a full knit cap on, and, you meet someone new, and then you take it off, and they're like, oh, damn it.
There you go. Oh, damn
it. That does not happen, by the way.
Dang.
That very much does not happen.
Alex Armstrong with a $2 dono. Did Pixel make anything else besides Cave Story?
Yes, though, for the life of me, I can't remember what it was called.
Was it La Bulana?
No, that wasn't him. There was a game where you played the little frog in an office, and you were dispatched on various platforming levels by your boss, who was a cat.
Oh, I like the idea of
first of all, this sounds
office frog.
Someone on the chat
was it Hero Blaster?
That's the one. That's what it was called.
There you go. I believe that's Japanese for frog.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at the super chat that just came in. This is gonna be funny when we get to it. Red Dwarf with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. The first table tennis game was made by the father of video games, Ralph Baer, on the Magnavox Odyssey. Pong was a clone of Baer's game.
What? Blah, 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 blah. Also, it was a clone of Tennis for Two, which was the game they made on an oscilloscope before any of this.
What?
Also, it was just a clone of having a catch, going in the backyard and having a catch with your paw.
Yeah.
Alex Armstrong with the two.
And that was just a clone of, I don't know, rain hitting the ground.
Is that what having a catch is? Just rain hitting the ground?
Yes. I mean, it's just the concept of a thing moving and then suddenly stopping when it touches something else.
I like it.
Yeah.
See? No original ideas. Alex Armstrong with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Yahtzee, is Star Shark Vagabond your one-hit wonder? He's made a lot of games.
A, I've made a bunch of games, and B, it was hardly a hit.
Oh,
it still hasn't quite gotten to 500 reviews on Steam. Almost, though. Maybe you could make the difference today.
Yeah, what are you guys doing? Get out there.
No, I was a minor success with my old Chizo Mythos series of adventure games, which a lot of people still remember. I was a big wheel in the old amateur adventure game community back in the day.
There you go.
There you go. Dr. Theo with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Dr. Theo. Maybe when Yachts retires from reviewing, he will start a bakery to share his fun bread with the world.
Oh, I'm bent on having at least one hobby I haven't monetized, I'm afraid.
I was about to say, it is nice to have an interest that you don't have to bring to work, and you have brought your baking interest to work, so you've ruined that quickly.
No, he's just sharing. He's not monetizing it. He's just sharing it.
I think that's the first step. That's the first step. This is a slippery slope.
You're right. That is the first step. As if you ever come up, if Yahtzee ever comes up with the idea of oh, maybe our top tier patron supporters, we can mail them my pies, and we have to tell you no and smack you in the face.
Yeah. I ain't sharing my pies. They're my pies for my lunches.
Fucking Gollum with the ring. Darwin's dummy with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Darwin. Hate to say it, but Spiritfarer.
Well, remains to be seen, I'd say.
Well, you're definitely not going to like their next game, 33 Immortals, because it is a 33-player co-op multiplayer game. If there's one thing I know about Yahtzee, he doesn't want to even play with one person, let alone 33
Well, at least
people.
It sounds like something extremely different to Spiritfarer, and they're not just trying to coast off their success.
It is, and in their defense, Spiritfarer came from a sharp turn from what they started with. Their first game, Jotun, was a 2D sort of top-down Shadow of the Colossus like, and then Sunder.
Well, there you go.
I didn't even know they were the Jotun developers.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Great.
They aren't one-hit wonders at all.
Well, I don't think Jotun made a big splash like Spiritfarer.
Yeah, you didn't. I don't think you put that on your goatee list.
No.
Estefan Costa with a $5 dono. Oh, Jesus. That was a terrible noise to make in a microphone. To hundreds of people. Estefan Costa with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. Nonsense, Marty. I just started developing my Go Fish roguelike. I'm on the cutting edge. I mean, you say that, you'd probably make $1 million if you developed a really good Go Fish roguelike.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that certainly seems to be what everyone cribbing off Balatro seemed to think.
Yeah.
Do it. There was the Blackjack Balatro like that was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of OMG Words, which is Balatro but Scrabble. Terrible title.
Yeah, really bad. That sounds like one of those games Jack's kids would play.
As long as they have sexy anime girls, that's all.
AZK with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, AZK. I may have missed it, but do you count devs who stay working on one game forever, like Dwarf Fortress?
I guess not.
I mean, like, technically, yes, they are one. Like, Dwarf Fortress, whether or not that is a hit, I think is arguable. But, like, also, what we talked about, like, with Concerned Ape, like, if all you want to do is make Stardew Valley better and better and keep giving us free shit for buying it, I am not against that. I think that's beautiful. 5 years from now, we can play Stardew Valley again and have an entirely new gaming experience. That's beautiful. Those who are really into Dwarf Fortress, if that's all you're going to make, that's fine. If I'm trying to think of like an example in music of just, I guess what in the big leagues, I called it Nickelback, which is like Nickelback does what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But
just roll on through.
You know, Rednecks, who made the techno version of Cotton Eye Joe.
I remember that.
They turned that into like a touring musical enterprise where they just do techno versions of old country songs and turned it into an industry. Good for them. Am I going to watch it? No. But good for them. They made it.
And Chumbawamba, that was just Olivia Rodrigo. So just a hard change a couple years down the road. So see, it could happen to any of us.
There you go. She gets knocked down, but she gets back up again.
Estefan Costa with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Estefan. A game that does a genre really well without worrying about finding a unique hook. He'll always take that over trying to be unique, but failing to do it well. I don't know. I like big swings for the fence. I also like someone just knowing what they're doing and doing it well, but I also appreciate a big swing.
I feel like I've enjoyed a lot of games lately that aren't really doing anything new, but do everything right.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost been like the season for that sort of thing. Eternal Strands, Avowed, Indiana Jones. I enjoyed them all. I don't think any of them did anything new, but they were.
Even a lot of the games you've played for Yahtzee Tries that you've come out liking feel like there's like pretty simple concepts that just do them relatively well.
Yeah.
Fox D with a $5 dono. Soren Johnson of Civ 4 and Brian Reynolds of Civ 2 and Alpha Centauri both made games under Sid Meier's name. Only diehard strategy gamers know their names, though.
Oh, I see. Sid Meier's getting puppeted like Tom Clancy. Corpse on the end of a stick.
Oh, no.
But is that a way around the unrealistic expectations of their designers? Is like just to slap on someone else's name?
Yeah.
I mean, they can hardly do anything else because the first game was famously sold as Sid Meier's Civilization. So obviously the next game was going to be Sid Meier's Civilization 2.
Yeah.
I guess like for the developer of Trombone Hero or what's the trombone game?
Trombone Simulator? Trombone
Champ.
Trombone Champ. Just develop your other game as like, Pezzlewit Tentacles Presents, and then then you get your name off of it, which is great.
Also, we just got ourselves an Adventurous Nye NPC.
Pezzlewit Tentacles, yeah.
You say Trombone Champ was that developer's first game. I happen to know, actually, that they made games before that. They made a browser game called Icarus Proudbottom Teaches Typing, that was a small niche hit like many, many years ago.
Also a good Adventurous Nye name, Icarus Proudbottom. Shiza poster with a €250 dono says nothing. Thank you, Shiza poster. And then Tsunami Doucher with a $20 dono says nothing. We appreciate you. Those are recurring bits, Jack. I don't know if you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not.
Peter Parker's with a $10 dono. Thank you, Peter Parker's. Immediately thought of Todd in the Shadows when I saw this topic. Will the next topic with Jack be the biggest train wrecks in gaming? String of great games that ended with a horribly failed game.
I mean,
Train records.
I love train records. I love Todd in the Shadows. It's great. But yeah, like, and that's probably where the idea sparked, because I've been watching a little Todd in the Shadows lately, but more importantly, then I played Wonder Stop, and it was like, whoa, two big misses for me from a developer who I really liked. Yeah,
there you go. Hroth87, thank you so much for the dono. What about games that have one half? Great idea, bad. What about games that have one half? Great idea, bad implementation, good setting, bad mechanics, bland setting, but funny mechanics. What is the best? Like, can one really strong element outweigh another much weaker element?
Sure. I've when been talking about my 3-leg theory of context, challenge, and catharsis, I've said that the chair can stand up on any one of those legs if it's long enough to touch the ground to compensate the other two being short.
Because the player is two other legs. The player can supplement two weak legs.
There are plenty of games that have a really good story, but the rest of the gameplay is kind of shite, like Disco Elysium. You got games that have really good challenge, but the story is kind of shite, like Halo. Or you got games that are really cathartic to play, but everything else is kind of shite.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking Monster Hunters.
I find it very cathartic, but I don't necessarily like the combat mechanics, and I definitely don't like the story.
Have you been playing by yourself or with pals?
A little bit both. A little by myself, a little by pals. So,
well, humble brag that you got pals. I kind of got you in there. Hroth back. Oh no, Hroth, you just named that one. Thank you so much, Rolf. Shiza poster back again with a €6 dono. Was Spec Ops The Line mentioned? It was the only game from Jaeger Games that stood out for the rest of the really bad games. Truly a one-hit wonder.
I heard Jaeger were making Dead Island 2 for the longest time, but they just didn't in the end. They got it taken away from them.
Yeah, and that's an interesting... that's the tricky thing with AAA is like the people responsible for the things we like about Spec Ops then went on to different places. Like the writer of Spec Ops is now, I think, the narrative lead on the Insomniac Wolverine game, which has me curious about the Insomniac Wolverine game. So, but yeah, it's always hard to sort of. It's why we brought up so many indie games compared to AAA games. It's just harder to track out who's responsible for what.
Agreed.
And then Shiza poster back again with a €6 dono. Thank you so much. One for nostalgia. Does Marty still remember No True Scotsman? It's like a logical fallacy where someone tries to where you're like, well, that counts, but not that one example. You can't use that one example.
Yes, fine. Yeah, that'll do. But does Jack remember what high concept means?
I will now. When I was in 7th grade, I was mercilessly mocked for not knowing how to spell kitchen. This is a true story. When I was in 7th grade, I got bullied beyond belief because I did not know how to spell kitchen. To this day, I know how to spell kitchen, and I will now forever remember what high concept is.
All right then.
All takes a little bullying.
Bullying works.
Bullying works. 2025. Bullrog with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. Guys, strap in. Davey Reedon, one of the creators of Stanley Parable. Have you heard this? They have a new game called Wander Stop. Don't see it being as popular, though. Bullrog, appreciate your dono. Have I got a podcast for you? You roll back to the beginning of this pod, see where this convo came from, see what's going on at the beginning.
Yeah, welcome to an hour and a half ago, asshole.
Or thank you for the money. We appreciate your support and enjoy listening to the beginning of the episode when we talk about this.
We do appreciate it. Yeah, and this started because I posted in the staff chat just this idea of like, hey, I'm playing Wander Stop, and now this developer who has made 3 games. 2 of them are big old stinkers as far as I'm concerned. One was a blue cheese stinker, which is delightful. This one is just regular stinky.
A blue cheese stinker. I like that.
Because that's a stinker where it's
sure.
like, but I like it.
A stinker that's like fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Ace with a €5 dono. Thank you, or £5 dono. Thank you so much, Just Ace. Game Freak have spent 30 years trying to have a non-Pokemon hit. Hard to feel bad for them though. That is true.
Yes, who remembers Tembo the Badass Elephant?
Sadly, I do. Temple the Badass Elephant, Pocket Jockey Racing, where you lay down cards. Balatro is just a Pocket Jockey Racing clone. You lay down cards to win horse races. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great.
A couple of Game Freaks out there.
There you go.
Just Existing, another $2 Canadian. Thank you so much. Yahtzee, please bring Starstruck to any console.
I'm working on it. Well, Nick's supposed to be working on it. He's just
Nick's gallivanting.
He is at the games developer conference right now, probably talking with people who know how to do that. This is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll bet he is.
Or he's eating free bread at the Cheesecake Factory at Union Square.
He is talking to people who can do that. Whether or not he's bringing it up is very different. But he is talking to people
that's my question. Yes.
Yeah. Luis Perez, thank you so much for a $2 dono. Just says hi and waves.
Hi.
Appreciate you. And Beneath, thank you so much for the dono, says nothing. But then Beneath is back again with another dono. Thank you so much, Beneath. If Lego did a horror movie franchise, which one would you gentlemen go for?
Saw.
Lego Saw?
Yeah, crossover with Lego Dacta, so you can make your own torture devices and then hook it up to the computer to make them run.
That would be really fun.
That's actually pretty good. Like a Lego alien set would be cool, right? Like the Nostromo.
Ooh, that would be a fun build. If they were to do a Saw, they would have to be not minifigure scale, but like larger figure scale, so that you could build the little like devices inside of their chest that will explode if you don't get the key right or whatever.
Yeah, that could be good. And then one last dono, Hroth87, thank you so much. I'm with Nick. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 rocks. I keep getting sidetracked by the alchemy minigame. This is for Yahtzee in Danish. Oh wait, do you have to read this one in Danish? If this is for Yahtzee,
in Danish, raska vidder runt I ring. Whatever the fuck that means.
You just summoned a little demon. A little Danish demon just came out of hell.
I think, it summons the Riddler from Batman.
Oh no!
I need you to find 13 trophies by racing.
I thought we were talking about the incel one from the Batman.
That's not a riddle.
The riddle is, can you press the gas pedal?
And then Wizard of the Void with $6.11 dono. Thank you, Wizard of the Void. Me give money for make video game.
All right, stop padding it out. I want to have lunch before I play Split Fiction with Marty this afternoon.
It's me, Marty.
That's me.
Wait, I don't have to do the closing, do I? This has been slightly something else. Thank you.
I'll do the closing if you want me to do the closing. Hi, this is the closing now. Thanks for listening to Slightly Something Else. I was Yahtzee. I was doing it with Marty and Jack because Jay's away at GDC. Well, I say he's away. He's closer to me at the moment than he would normally be.
Both of them. They're across the bay away.
Yeah, they could probably get on the BART and come around for dinner, but they won't.
Now that they saw those little pies. Maybe if you share your little pies with them.
Well, they ain't having my pies.
Oh, I called it Slightly Something Else. Fuck, the wrong show.
Whoops.
Wow, Marty. Wow. But to be fair, like that's where this all started.
Yeah, that's what Jack was on. That's what confused you. So, content for this week. Macho content, as always.
Yeah.
My Fully Ramblomatic on Wednesday will be on the subject of Monster Hunter Wilds that we've been talking about already. So look forward to that. Also, my regular Wednesday stream, Yahtzee Tries, one of which will apparently be Wonder Stop, but I'll think of what the other one will be before then. And I have a semi-ramblomatic dropping on Thursday, which will be on the subject of...
Does he remember the videos that he's made?
It was so long ago, I read it.
I know, I wrote this like 2 weeks ago.
You write them as soon as the one is out.
Well, that's what... the editor Matt asked me to do because it takes a while to put the imagery together. Oh yes, it was about a certain recurring obscure game mechanic and that has a few interesting examples.
Yeah.
So that's what that's about.
Okay.
The diarrhea mechanic. I literally don't remember what that mechanic was. This is gonna be exciting. I'll get to watch it and not know what's going on.
There you go. Marty, plug some other stuff.
Yeah, later this afternoon, 6 p.m. Central, I guess that's the evening, Hidden Gems will be back with the normal crew, Casey, Jess, and Jesse. Tomorrow, Jack will be joining me and Jesse Galena on The Rewind. We're going to be starting a half hour later, just because we have another video going up that morning. So 12:30 Central, we'll be starting. We'll be chatting about The Electric State, Mickey 17, first couple episodes of Daredevil. This is just stuff we've been watching, so tune in for that. After that, 3 p.m. Central tomorrow, Jack, you should be back with Jenna. You'll be taking Nick's role, playing something with Jenna.
Playing something with Jenna, because Marty is stealing Jess and I's Lords of the Fallen time for some Assassin's Creeding on Thursday. Either I'll be continuing my Lords of the Fallen bucket run, or Jenna and I will play some Monster Hunter, because that's who I've been playing Monster Hunter with.
There you go.
So why not do it for an audience? But we'll decide on that as it gets closer. But yes, I'm taking over for Nick's spot, as he is in GDC talking to all these wonderful people for Starstruck Vagabond.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what he's doing.
And then Casey and I back Wednesday evening, our normal stream. As Jack mentioned, in the normal 12 p.m. Central slot on Thursday, I will be joining Jack and Jess, and that will be doing our launch day stream for Assassin's Creed Shadows.
That's right.
So tune in then, and then in the near future, Yahtzee will also have a hologram-o-matic on that at some point before the universe.
Yes, I will. That'll be the week after next, actually.
Perfect.
Toffee was in my jacket for the whole podcast.
Oh, you smuggled a little pup smuggle. That's it. We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Bye,
See you
everyone.
next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for donos.